The Jim and Terry Show, back in the Hobbit studio. Looking forward to thorny things. Well, some people
Horny
say that.
things? Horny?
Thorny.
Okay.
Thorny things that will prick you. Not that you are such a person, but sometimes when you handle thorny things, you get pricked. Yeah. So what is the thorny stuff of life? And we were leaving off, you were on a bit of a tear there at the end of the previous podcast. So I wanted to pick that up because there were some unresolved issues. We were talking about the corruption of the presidency and the bill of goods being sold to the Americans, who 70-some odd million of them voted for this guy. And is there buyer's remorse for them at this point? And you were leaving a comment with the farmers of the U.S.
Yeah, they got screwed by their own president. And he keeps lying. He keeps saying to people, prices are going to go down. They're going up. He keeps saying jobs are going to come to America. And I heard a guy this morning say, we don't know how to make bananas. We can't manufacture them here. Why are you putting tariffs on bananas?
Yes.
We can't manufacture them here. All of those tariffs are going to the poor person who's going to have to find some way to make that $20,000, which wasn't enough last year, doubly not enough this year, especially if you're buying a car.
Now the car takes us to Ontario. That's because the car industry is big in Ontario, and that's one of the Doug Ford's big bugaboos, and why he came off as Captain Canada during the early announcements of Trump's tariffs. He wanted to throw the book at Trump. He, raise the price on everything from Canada, cut the power supply from Ontario to Michigan. Quebec cut the power to New York and Vermont and the Eastern Seaboard because they draw a lot of power from
it's working.
Quebec.
Because I just came
is it
back.
working?
Yes, I just came back from the United States.
Are they aware?
I flew. They may not be aware of why, but I flew down there on a plane 3/4 full. And I flew back on a plane 3/4 full. I've never done that ever in my life of ever flying.
So you saw firsthand.
Yeah. And then when you go to restaurants, they're not jammed like they once were. They're not full of people. There's a lot of room for a lot of more people coming in. And we were eating at an old restaurant that's been there a long time. It looks like it's being sold. It's been there probably 80 years. And it looks like it's being sold. We were in there, and there was your loyal family there, but the tourism is down. It's as simple as that. And a lot of the restaurants and stuff are not flowing with people, not like they once were. When I first went down to Florida, you had to line up to get into every restaurant.
Now, is that just Canadian tourists, Canadian snowbirds?
Well, it might be buyer beware as well. It might be
so there's
people
a global
worried about. Well, it is global tourism for sure. Like I met other people down there, and as I said, the Americans were very nice, very welcoming. One guy said, "Are you?" Thought I was a veteran. I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm from Canada." And he goes, "Oh, welcome. Thanks for coming." And I said to him, "Thank you for your service."
Yeah.
And he said, "My wife was in the service too." I said, "Thank you for your service." And very friendly, very nice, right? But everything is down, and it's just, you can see it, you feel it. The only thing that isn't, if you want to know the truth, is Walmart. As nuts as it's ever been, but mostly Spanish. For instance, when I was in the Walmart right by my resort, many times I asked for help. The person did not speak a word of English.
Wow.
Not a word of English. They're all Spanish. And they still try to help you. Don't get me. They're not rude, but they have no knowledge of English. None.
So you can function in an American Walmart in your area, your resort area, with no English at all.
At least 3 times I asked for something to a person, and I wasn't mad, but they did not speak a word of English. And one of them sent me to an area because they had the computer.
Yep.
And I guess they translated, and they showed me a picture, I think. Is that, a pail. I want a pail. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, that's in aisle 13. I forgot to hear G13. There's 40,000.
I know.
These are mega stores, huge.
Oh, much bigger than you find here.
They're packed. But they're packed because I think they got reasonable sales and prices.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of the customers are Hispanic.
So Walmart's the low end of the American consumer.
But don't forget, it was Walmart that said it's going to have to up its price.
Yes, and isn't it Walmart that Trump said you're going to have to eat it?
Yeah, and Walmart's not going to eat it. It's going to eat part of it. Nobody's going to eat it. They may pretend they're going to eat it. Here's how you eat it. Let's say golf balls aren't, or
Aren't tariffed.
Aren't tariffed. You up the price of them to cover the price. The consumer pays the price, no matter what. Businesses are in business to make money. And even someone like Walmart, you may be surprised on how low that volume is of profit. I remember a friend owning a grocery store. I think it was 3.5% profit. That's not all that much, Terry.
That's a slim margin, but
That's
enough to carry the store?
Carry the store, yeah.
Wow. Pays the salaries?
I don't know.
Employees?
I didn't go into too much debt because I just remember being shocked at what the profit line was for the store.
Let's move on to other areas.
Speaking of that, we're starting to get garbage, if you buy. I bought a bundle of radishes, and to make a salad, I threw 3/4 of those radishes out.
And
inside, they were black.
Are they local, or where did you get them?
I don't know. That's what I was asked. Someone else said, "Where did you buy them?"
Yeah.
Well, the store was local.
So you're still worried about,
Quality?
or you're still aware of the labeling on products when you go shopping?
I am. In this particular case, I didn't even give a thought. I need radishes. I just grabbed it. I didn't even look where they came from. But what I was aware of, that where I bought them, okay, no frills, was just being Loblaws dumping their spoiled goods.
Okay,
so you really, buyer got to be aware. You're better to pay $1 more if you're going to use them all than pay a cheap price and throw them out.
That's
so
right.
I'll probably be going to Sobeys for now
Get the fresh veggies.
Get the better stuff.
Yeah, get the better stuff and not the discards. Well, yeah. Okay. Other impacts of the tariffs. I was listening to some shows that were talking about the price of 20 and 30-year T-bills, T-bonds, Treasury bonds for the United States as a harbinger of where the economy is going. And this is where foreign investors, countries, often on a national scale, such as Japan, Canada as well, have bought a lot of T-bills from the United States. We are financing part of the American debt. We do that because we're getting interest on it, and it's a sign to support a country. You buy up some of their debt to help them along. When you sell them, it's because you don't necessarily believe in that country anymore as a worthwhile investment. So there's been some selling off of the T-bills, and the interest rate being offered now on the longer term, America's having to raise what they're offering to foreign investors because they're not nibbling at the bills anymore. And you need that T-bill sold to finance the debt.
Wow. And now your credit rating's been reduced?
That's impacting it as well.
Yeah, so you got a credit rating reduced for the United States. You got a president who I believe has no intentions of leaving, but I may be wrong on that. And then a president that says, our allies might not be our allies, so we're just going to give them a lesser quality jet.
That was still amazing to me to hear that line.
He said it live in the office, out of his mouth.
That was about the F-35s and disabling certain features for countries that may not be your allies anymore.
Yeah. So, and I would take that as a direct dig at Canada. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if the United States actually invade Canada. Not this term. Not this term.
Not this term.
Yeah.
So not in the next 4 years. Yeah. Okay. Let me talk about, just in passing, we're nearing the end of this podcast, but the new American ambassador to Canada. Have you heard?
Well, I didn't hear him, but I heard you say it.
Okay. I'm not sure about this guy.
Well, no, look at Trump rules in fear, and it's worked.
Yeah, every one of them speaks Trump language.
Yes, they're Trumpites. Yeah. That guy who should know a lot better is mad that Canada is retaliating, defending ourselves.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we defend ourselves? It's like that stupid Fox guy going, I'm offended you don't want to become American. What an idiot.
Unbelievable. But this is going on. This is now at the ambassador level. So this is official diplomatic positioning. And this guy, and this was an interview with Politico, so it's not even an interview with a Canadian outlet. And if you're willing to say that about Canada in the States, what are you saying about Canada to our faces?
Just know this. He's not going to be invited to very many balls.
Not at Rideau Hall. Jim and Terry Show signing off. Bye-bye.